First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakak Radash, and double honor to the apostles of the great millstone that have taught me this truth, and the elder bishops on down, and Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Brakatham to the overall elect. And it's your brother Laban. And I just want to mention a couple of the things that I didn't mention on my last video in regards to why England is protesting against immigration, especially the working class people, the real people of England. And remember Tony Blair, he said that the British people needs a little bit of persuasion on towards this Dish to ID program, right? Well, the only thing that comes to my mind, I mean, what else could it very well be other than this immigration issue that's happening all over Europe? So if they can keep stirring up the issue a bit more and more, then maybe, this is what I'm thinking, people will accept Dish to IDs. So let's get into this. Starmer considers Dish to ID cards for everyone to tackle illegal immigration. In an alleged attempt to crack down on all illegal migrants arriving in England in small boats, the British PM Sir Keir Starmer is seriously considering introducing Dish to ID cards. Starmer did not say whether identification cards would be made compulsory, but confirmed that the government was considering a rollout of the technology for every citizen in the UK. Apparently, he decided to explore the idea after French President Emmanuel Macron demanded action that would make Britain less attractive to illegal migrants. The Mail Online reports Downing Street confirmed that ministers are examining proposals for a digital ID scheme 15 years after the idea was abandoned following an outcry about the impact on civil liberties. On the one option, anyone apply for a new job would be required to produce the digital ID to demonstrate that they have the right to live and work in the UK. Similar provisions could also be introduced for those moving to a new accommodations, making a benefit claim, or accessing public services. So just like I said in my last video, this digital ID will dissolve all of these issues. It would dissolve poverty, as they say. It would dissolve people not being able to access their bank account. It would also dissolve this immigration problem. So, just to name a few things which comes to mind already, this is a good thing to get into. Why not? Right? So, again, what I'm saying is, and this is just what I'm thinking, the problems that be right now that the average Edomite is having to deal with these so-called, I could just call them what they are, migrants for real. This may very well push them to accept this. All right? And that's all I got to say with this. So what I want to do is I want to get to a different topic. And this is the topic that I really want to get more into, which is, as this reads, NATO chief warns China and Russia are preparing for long-term confrontation. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte warned that Russia and China are preparing their defense industries for long-term confrontation. Rutte said Russia and China are investing heavily to build up and modernize their militaries with their defense industries, producing weapons and heavy military equipment at a remarkable, staggering rate. Rutte warned that the challenge posed to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization to NATO isn't limited to Russia, noting that China, Iran, and North Korea deepening defense industries cooperations was reaching unprecedented levels. So all I got to read on that is just that. As this reads, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war and wake up the mighty men, and let all of the men of war draw near, and let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears, and let the weak say, I am strong. And what does it mean, beat your plowshares and your pruning hooks? Meaning these are agricultural tools to use for the sake of your crops. Once upon a time, these countries that now have nuclear weapons, which they didn't possess these before, have now become superpowers to defend themselves against the superpower that is, which is America. Which I will say this, let me correct myself. They believe that they're going to become the next superpowers, but they have the same instruments of war as the superpower does. And they're more economically viable than America is, and just in general, the West, which that's all for prophetic reasons. All right, so that all of these nations can do what they got to do against the nation that which is all the way in the West, which is America, which is also known as Babylon, which ought to be destroyed. Okay. So as this reads, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty wants to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be wakened. And that's the word I want to look up as well, is the word wakened. And the word is a war, right? If I'm correct, the word a war, which means to rouse oneself awake, incite, to be roused, to be stirred up, rouse, incite, to be excited, be triumph, to act in an arousal manner, to awake. Yeah, so it just means to be awakened. All right? To be awakened. To be awakened in what way? Readying for war. So the Lord is putting the spirit on them to be ready. As I just read to you, that they're readying themselves for a long, drawn-out war. A long-term confrontation of a war. Because of what's happening out here, geopolitically. All right? So it's all tying in. It's all leading up to these nations getting together for their own demise. And the Valley of Jehoshaphat in this case, which is, as the AI overviews it, as this reads, the Valley of Jehoshaphat, that is called the Valley of Decision, is a symbolic biblical location where the Most High will judge the nations at the end of times. Now, what I also wanted to do is read the story. I wanted to read a story of that, because during the time of Jehoshaphat, not the prophet, the king at the time, something like this was going to happen, or has happened, when you go into this story, when these nations decided to go up against Israel. As a matter of fact, I'll just go and read it. So this is 2 Chronicles 20 and verse 1. It came to pass after this also that the children of Moab and the children of Ammon, and with them other besides the Ammonites, came against Jehoshaphat to battle. Then there came some that told Jehoshaphat, saying, There cometh a great multitude against thee from beyond the sea on this side, Syria, and behold, they be in Hazazon Tamar, which is in Engedi. And Jehoshaphat feared and sent himself to seek the Lord and proclaim the fast throughout all Judah. And Judah gathered themselves together to ask help of the Lord. Even out of the cities of Judah they came to seek the Lord. And Jehoshaphat stood in the congregation of Judah and Jerusalem in the house of the Lord before the new court, and said, O Yahweh, the power of our fathers, art not thou the God of heaven, and rulest not thou over all the kingdoms of the heathen? And in thine hand is there not the power and might, so that none is able to withstand thee? Art thou not thou our power, who didst drive out the inhabitants of this land before thy people Israel, and gavest it to the seed of Abraham, thy friend forever. They dwell therein, and I have built thee a sanctuary therein for thy name, saying, if when evils cometh upon us, as the sword, judgment, or pestilence, or famine, we stand before this house and in thy presence, and cry unto thee in our affliction, when thou wilt hear and help. And now behold, and what I didn't read is this over here. For thy name is in this house, right? And now behold, the children of Ammon and Moab and Mount Seir, whom thou wouldest not let Israel invade, when they came out of the land of Egypt, but they turned from them and destroyed them not. Behold, I say how they reward us to come to cast us out of thy possession, which thou hast given us to inherit. O our power, will thou not judge them? For we have no might against this great company that come up against us, and neither know what to do. But our eyes are upon thee. And all Judah stood before the Lord Yahweh with their little ones, their wives and their children, and Jehaziel, which I believe the pronunciation is Yachaza'Allah. Then let me go and check to see what that means there in the Hebrew. Yachaza'Allah, right? Yeah, which is to be beheld of God. A Benjamite warrior with joined David at Ziklag. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, so let's see, because this is a compound word I know. So let's look up this word over here. Yeah, chazah, to see, perceive, to look, behold. Okay, yeah, so I see what they mean with that. Yeah, and Allah means power. Ya kaza Allah. So yeah, they're right. To see God or to behold him. So we got that. Yeah, so then upon Jahaziel, the son of Zechariah, the son of Benaiah, the son of Jalil, or Jael, the son of Mattaniah, a Levite of the son of Asaph, came the Spirit of the Lord in the midst of the congregation. And he said, hearken ye all Judah and ye inhabitants of Jerusalem, and thou king of Jehoshaphat. Thus saith the Lord unto you, be not afraid nor dismayed by reason of this great multitude, for the battle is not yours, but the Most High's. Tomorrow go ye down against them, and behold, they come up by the cliff of Ziz, and ye shall find them at the end of the brook before the wilderness of Jeruel. Ye shall not need to fight in this battle. Set yourselves, stand ye still, and see the salvation of the Lord with you. O Judah and Jerusalem, fear not, nor be dismayed. Tomorrow go out against them, for the Lord will be with you. Right? So when you go and you read the story on down, it actually shows you that all of these nations were to come up against Judah, but they ended up coming up against themselves. And there was nothing more than death among them, dead bodies. So the same thing is in like manner. You see, we don't have a missile to fight with in this war. Okay, Jamaica doesn't have a missiles. Jamaica doesn't have a set of missiles. Trinidad doesn't have a set of missiles. African Americans don't have military bases and missiles. All right, neither does the Northern Kingdom do. And that's not by coincidence either. All right, because this war is going to be the Most High's war, and at the same time, Yahweh Shah is going to come in between all of this. And the few of these nations are going to want to rise up against the Lord, and guess what? They're going to get crushed. They're going to crush each other with their nukes, and they're also going to get crushed when the Lord intervenes, when they go to wars to fight against the Lord, which they're not going to want to do it. but the Lord is going to put the spirit upon them to do it, and they're going to fail miserably. All right. So anyway, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which the term Jehoshaphat means the judgment of the Most High. For there will I sit to judge all of the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. So there you go. So what I want to do is I want to read a little bit more on this as well. So let's go back up and we're going to read some more on this. So as this reads, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte warned that Russia and China are preparing their defense industries for long-term confrontation after President Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin led a parade of Beijing's new military hardware. We face serious and lasting threats. Russia and China are investing heavily to build up and modernize the militaries, Rutte said in a speech at the IISS Prague Defense Summit on Thursday. Their defense industries are producing weapons and heavy military equipment at a remarkable, staggering rate. China unveiled a range of nuclear weapons, including 2 new gigantic intercontinental ballistic missile designs during the Second World War anniversary parade in Beijing on Wednesday. Xi walked through the crowd with Putin and North Korea leader Kim Jong-un flanking him. It was the first public appearance of both men and a message to the U.S. and Europe about their military might. Right, and that was nothing more than the war dance as well, just to mention. So we're at war. The world is at war. We're not at war, but the world is at war. Our war is more spiritual because what we're looking for is these nations to get it on and popping so that we could be the next ones to rule. Just like we wasn't in war during the time of Jehoshaphat. All right. So we don't have a missile to fight with in this war at all, because this ain't got nothing to do with us. This has got every little thing to do with them. And no wonder the Lord made these nations successful other than us, because they need to be successful in order for you to buy all of this military equipment. You know how much money this shit costs, man? So you got to have the money to buy it. You got to have the economic power to actually buy this stuff, man. So, yeah, that's all I got to say with this over here, too. We're drawing closer and closer to the third woe, which is coming quickly. Matter of fact, let me end it off with that precept as well. Revelations 11. Revelations 11 and verse 14. The second woe was past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. So the third woe, which actually started after you had the because prior before you had what was called the Cold War. So the Cold War was supposed to be disannulled right around the early 90s. But then the Cold War came back again, which transformed into the third woe, which is going to come quickly, right around 1994. Because right around that time, you had NATO building on themselves in regards to drawing closer and closer, getting nations that are closer to Russia to join forces. All right? So that was the third woe that was coming quickly. Or that is coming quickly.